Welcome to XYPN Radio, where your host Alan Moore brings you into a community of fee-only financial planners who want to profitably and successfully serve Gen X and Gen Y clients. If you're ready to get the knowledge you need from leaders in your field, learn from forward-thinking advisors, and take action on your own goals, XYPN Radio is the show for you. Here's your host.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of XYPN Radio. I'm Maddie Roach, your host. I'm excited to have XYPN member Cliff Downie, owner of Downie Financial Group, a fee-only firm in Orange County, California, on the show today. Cliff has spent his career in this industry, spending significant time at Wells Fargo, some time at Merrill Lynch, within an independent broker-dealer, and finally, within the fee-only space as the owner of his own RIA. Cliff has a particularly interesting perspective on starting and running a firm that serves over 100 clients. He talks about how he leveraged his communication and sales training while at Wells Fargo to today being able to have productive prospect meetings. He's leveraged his former client relationships as referral sources. And today, Cliff discusses why he segments his clients, how their service differs just slightly between the levels, and how he relies on text messages and technology to help move the process along. Cliff is also a Dave Ramsey SmartVestor, which he credits for some of his early growth. Cliff is focused on running a practice that lets him spend valuable time with his wife and 2 daughters. He doesn't ever want to grow too big, but assures us he won't ever leave this space. He says seeing relief come across his clients' faces is why he loves his job. If you're interested in how you can apply your broker-dealer experience or leverage technology to run an efficient practice, this episode is for you.
XY Planning Network's annual benchmarking survey is out. Are you curious about the average number of clients XYPN members get in their first year, or how successful niches really are? To answer these burning questions and more, we've again enlisted a professional research firm to complete our annual benchmarking study. Get your copy hot off the press and discover vital statistics such as the median advisor revenue by years in practice and sources of firm growth, from referrals to blogging, social media, and more. Head over to xyplanningnetwork.com/study to purchase your copy today.
You can find any of the resources we mentioned during this episode at xyplanningnetwork.com/247. Also, be sure to go to xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP to join our private group just for XYPN Radio listeners. It's a community of advisors we've all been looking for that's there to provide support when we need it the most. Best of all, it's free. I encourage you to check it out. Again, that's xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP. Without further ado, here is my interview with Cliff Downie. Hey, Cliff, welcome to XYPN Radio.
Thank you. Thank you, Maddie.
Absolutely. I've really looked forward to interviewing you today because I think you have a particularly interesting story to share with our listeners. And as we prepped for this interview, it became really clear that you had kind of this all-encompassing background of having been at a number of different places of business and employment before you ever decided to start your own RIA. And I think that's particularly impressive, but also really important for our listeners. So why don't you tell us a bit about Downie Financial Group, Cliff?
Downie Financial Group, RIA, got established about a year and a half ago or so, but I've been in the business ever since 1999. Started at Wells Fargo there. I was there for many years, about 10 years or so. Learned a lot about the financial world. Funny story is when I was working at Wells Fargo, I was going to college and I was going to become a lawyer. I was studying to become a poli-sci major there. And, one of my buddies on a water polo team told me, hey, get a job at Wells Fargo, become a teller, just, part-time summer job, and got that job and really started looking more into the financial world there and liked that. I liked a lot about it. And so decided to change my major, focus on the finances there. And so was there for 10 years, teller, banker, wow. Became a financial associate, financial advisor. Then I went over to Merrill Lynch for a couple of years. I was there for about a year and a half, 2 years or so. Realized early on wasn't quite a right fit there. So went over to the independent broker-dealer with FSC Securities there in 2013. And I was there for a couple of years as well. There were a lot of changes going on. This is when the whole Department of Labor rule, fiduciary rule was coming into place. So changes were happening. And again, it was affecting my business. And so wanted to see what else was out there. And that's when I got introduced to XYPN and the whole independent RIA. And that's when I made the jump and decided to open my own practice there in 2000, I believe it was 2017 and beginning of 2018.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dig into some of that. You spent a large portion of your professional career working at Wells Fargo. I'm sure we've got some listeners today who are either currently working there or have experience there. Talk to us about kind of what the training was. What did you do over this 10 years to really set yourself up for success?
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of working at a major bank like that, and I tell a lot of people who are looking to get into this field, but they don't have the experience, is the banking experience is great because they'll pay for your training, they'll give you a lot of the tools, a lot of the software and technology wise and everything. But the benefit is that you'll be working at a local branch where you're going to meet five, 7, 10 people, maybe on average a day. Anywhere from looking to just, hey, setting up a retirement account because their accountant told them to, hey, I got a rollover, I got a lot of different scenarios. But the benefit is that you get a lot of experience working on your presentation, working and talking with the prospects, seeing what issues they might have and how you can help and overcome that. And so it gives you a lot of experience in working on, like, say, your speech and presentation, how you handle things. And it's a big benefit from that perspective. Versus if you go on your own, you're out there by yourself and it's tough to meet people. But here at the local branch, you're going to be fed a lot of contacts, a lot of prospects. And so you can kind of hone your presentation from there.
Interesting. Now, did they give you training on how to have those conversations? Or did you go through a sales training program?
They do give you some sales training. The best experience I have, or the best training I got, is when I became an assistant to an advisor. Being able to just sit in on the meetings. And so typically you're an advisor, you're an assistant to an advisor, maybe even two advisors, and you're helping, taking care of the paperwork, taking care of the back office things, setting things up like that. But you can also sit on the meetings. And this is one thing I said, I want to be in the meetings. I want to just listen in, see what works, what doesn't work, and taking my notes. And that's really the best experience, the best training I got from being an assistant.
Wonderful. And was being an independent RIA something that was even on your radar when you were kind of practicing your sales skills and your pitch and your communication?
No, not really. One of the things about each spot that I have is I always thought I could. Wells Fargo, became an advisor. I was like, perfect. This is where I'm going to be at. This is my career. I'm going to be ready to be here for a long time. But then I just started learning more and more about the business, learning more about different kind of players, like I said, the Wells Fargo, the Merrill Lynch, and the independent BDs and stuff. And each spot I was just learning more. And I was like, what, it might not be the right fit for me. And that's what really started the wheels in terms of looking at different options, seeing what else is out there.
Yeah. What prompted you to move to Merrill Lynch after kind of having a nice tenure at Wells Fargo?
Really what it was is, the frustrating part was there was always changes, not even maybe a little bit about regulations, but mostly from a corporate level that were affecting my business. And I keep saying my business because I always felt like these are my clients. Yeah. And so there were things that were out of my control that were just changing how I get compensated, what the process was and everything. And so it was frustrating for me. I felt like I built up momentum. I was getting steam. My revenue was going up. And then there was a new management change. And then when a new manager has to come in, again, these are all my opinions. It's just, they always have to make changes. Everything can be working out great. Everything's working out fine. But new manager comes in to make changes. Yeah. And then those changes just affect my bottom line for myself. And so that's when I really started looking at what else is out there available. And the move to Merrill Lynch was never really on the radar for me. But this was, I think, in 2009, 2010, when they were aggressively recruiting people. They wanted to get their head count out. So I was like, I heard new in my Merrill Lynch. Let me go out there over there and figure out what's going on. Went to Merrill Lynch. Again, worked out well, but I think realized early on really quickly that it wasn't quite the right fit. And then again, corporate changes were happening. And so one of the major changes, and we can dive into how my household, my book of business looks like, but my average account size is about 150,000 in AUM. But at Merrill Lynch, one of the changes was they were going to make is any household under 250,000, you weren't going to get compensated for. And this was 6-7 years ago. Wow. And so looking at my book, I was like, well, that doesn't seem to make sense there. And so that's what prompted me to look into the independent BD and go from there and go there.
What caused your book of business to be more at the $150,000 level and not kind of the ultra high net worth folks. Was that intentional?
No, working at Wells Fargo, you get to work at different branches in different areas. And I realized, again, early on, we're going through my financial advisors. I worked at a local branch that was nearby the beach community, and there were high net worth people down there. And I never related well. I never got along with them for whatever reason. And so I had meetings, I had presentations. I do have high net worth clients, but I built work together and growing those assets. But I just never had a good fit in terms of working with ultra high net worth or high net worth prospects for whatever reason. But if I sat in front of someone in their age 45, 55, they have a 401k roll, 150,000, 200,000, 250, I could close that in no problem.
Wow.
But it just once it gets, up to the 500, a million plus, it just, for some whatever reason, it didn't work out well. And I realized then that my book of business is not going to be made of 50 clients, 50 households. It's going to be larger. But the benefit of working at Wells Fargo, when I became a financial advisor, I was an advisor there, they give you a small book of business just to help you get started. Most of it is not great assets, but you're going to have 2, 3, 4, maybe even 500 accounts. And so I learned early on in my career how to be efficient in my time to make sure that I'm touching each client, making sure they're I'm helping them out. But if they're having issues, what I need to do to take care of it, move on, and then move on to the next client from that perspective.
Yeah, I want to dig into your efficiency because it's very, very clear that you've built a really efficient practice. I'm wondering, what recourse did Merrill Lynch offer you in terms of being able to work with younger clients and, quite frankly, not as wealthy of clients as they wanted you to? I mean, I think this is an industry issue that we've kind of run up against over and over again. What was Merrill Lynch's take on this? I mean, how did your managers explain that you wouldn't be compensated for smaller books of business?
Not to focus. Don't help them. Pretty much it. You send them to the online department. That was the Merrill Edge. Send them online. Let them do it themselves.
Interesting.
And my argument was, well, listen, I got these clients, they're saving a good percentage. Yeah, they might be 50, 100,000, but eventually they'll be 250, 500,000 and grow, grow the assets from there. It's going to take time. But unfortunately, managers, Merrill Lynch, they don't have time for that. Yep. And again, because managers are judged month to month, quarter to quarter, they got to hit their numbers and everything. That's what they're focusing on. So they need those big accounts on day one. And again, for me, I hate to sound mean, but I don't care about your goals. I don't care what you're trying to climb the corporate ladder. I'm focusing on my clients. My clients are happy. They're taken care of. And so that's why it wasn't working out well, especially when they made that change. That was their excuses. Just send them online. And I just felt bad. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Interesting red flag to run up against. I haven't heard that from a lot of advisors, that was actually something that they had to avoid. What made you transition to the broker-dealer, and what was that transition like, going from Merrill Lynch to an independent BD?
Again, corporate changes. So again, that's when starts the wheels turning in terms of what else is out there. And I remembered when I was taking classes for my CFP. And one of the instructor, the tax instructor, worked on the independent BD side. And we connected, we kept in touch and everything. And so again, when Merrill was making the changes, I kind of reached out to him and just kind of pick his brain, seeing what else is out there and see what independent BD will look like. And so we had a meeting, we had a conversation, and everything sounded great. It sounded what I wanted to do. Open up my own business, it's be under my own name. He'll take care of some of the back office stuff and everything. And so got everything set up and everything. Because again, the writing was on the wall with Merrill that I knew, eventually we're going to go our separate ways. And so getting that all set up beforehand, I had my office set up, had everything set up. So when the day did come, it would be a smooth transition into the independent world from there.
At that point in time, had you maintained client relationships going as far back as Wells Fargo?
Yeah, I have a lot of clients that have followed me through all the steps. And so it's worked out. So yeah, I do have a lot of clients that have been working with me through all the different institutions and companies I've worked with and everything.
Okay. So you spent some time at an independent broker-dealer. What was that like?
Again, great in the beginning, building my practice. I had a lot of the freedom to run my practice how I wanted to run it, focus on the clients that I want to focus on. Yeah, it was working out really great. And then, of course, corporate changes coming up. And so they started making some changes that were affecting my bottom line. one of those changes, I was doing a lot of direct mutual fund business. And so it was easy. It's right at the mutual fund company website. So it was very easy to run my practice. And again, one of the changes they're making is, no, you can't do that anymore. You have to go to their custodian, which was Pershing at the time. And I just heard horror stories about just trying to take care of little issues and things like that, the communication. And so again, that would open up the wheels are turning, seeing what else is out there. And so a friend of mine that's a independent RA told me about, hey, take a look at this, take a look at XYPN. I was hearing about it. So I reached out, in 2017 or so, and just started to see what else, what you guys have to offer and everything, and really liked what I heard. And so I decided to jump ship and become an independent RIA. So.
Wow. I love this treasure hunt of things that you've kind of gone through to find yourself the owner of your firm.
I can't become more independent now. There's nowhere else I can go. So
no corporate changes here.
No, I don't think I can become any more. So I'm pretty confident hopefully we'll be here for a longer time. So
yeah. So during this, given your kind of background, what was your development and understanding of the fiduciary oath that you've now taken, as well as being fee only? How has it evolved over the years?
Yeah, it's something that, deep down, I always want to do what's best for my clients. But at each spot, learning more about their practice, what they do, it's like, well, it doesn't seem to make sense. It doesn't fit well. Especially early on, I was an intern in Smith Barney, and it was the boiler room style situation. I was in the copy room. I had to give me a phone book, and you make 100 dials per hour, and you try to get people in the door and everything. And so it was an eye opener, and I learned early on that I'm not a day trading broker. That's not what I enjoy. I don't want to do that. And so went to Wells Fargo, doing what's best for my clients, working them. But hey, Wells Fargo, Merrill Lynch, I know I don't want to talk mean about them, but they have sales quotas. They do push products, or they recommend products, and they say, hey, if you can really do a focus on that this month, it'd be great. And it just didn't make sense for me. And so I'm not gonna sell a product to my clients if it doesn't make sense. And so when I became independent PD and finally became RIA, the fiduciary oath it just made sense, and it's what I always practice in my whole business. It just makes more sense for the client.
Now, you started your business with a fair number of client households. That's correct?
Yeah. Luckily, I was able to transfer about 40, 45 households over. And again, I grew up AUM route. That's where I grew up in Wells Fargo, Merrill Lynch, and everything. And so luckily, I was able to transfer a number of households to give me a base of income coming in, some revenue coming in that I wouldn't be. It was still difficult. It was still difficult, but I got a good base coming over.
I think we have a lot of different members that come into XYPN with a book of business. And then there are a lot of questions about whether they have any trails associated with any of those clients or any income that's being derived from any products sold in the past. Is that something you had to work through?
Luckily, no. And so a lot of my business is fee-based, the AUM. And so an independent BD, they did have some commissions and stuff like that. I did a little bit life insurance, term policy insurance, and maybe an annuity trade once a year or something like that. But nothing, majority of my business was the fees collected for managing the account assets. So
got it.
So giving up commissions was not a big issue for me on my practice.
Any recommendations for advisors who have a book of business that they want to bring into their own RIA? How did you facilitate those conversations with your clients? And how did you explain why you were doing this and why you hadn't done it before?
Yeah, luckily, I mean, the relationship I always had, it's been with me and the client were really strong. And so, especially at the independent BD, FSC, I mean, they didn't know who FSC was. They got paperwork from them ever so often, but their relationship was with me. And so when I was talking about some changes, it really, for them, nothing really changed dramatically. Tell them maybe their statements would look a little different. That was maybe the biggest change, but how we work together, the way, we communicate, the compensation component of it, that really, there's no changes on that. And so why I'm making the changes? A lot of the reasons from technology standpoint, from being more efficient, being more focused on the planning. That's what I told them that's how they're going to benefit from these changes. But in terms of, like I said, what they see, not a lot of changes. So.
I would think that Wells Fargo would have wanted you to not take those clients. Did you get any pushback from that, or what's the process when you've decided to leave Wells Fargo or a company similar? What's the process?
I mean, the process is they were allowed to take some client information, name, phone number. That's pretty much it. And so I had the list of names of people I still wanted to continue to work with. And so when I made the change from Wells Fargo, Merrill Lynch, it cracks me up now, but it's really the morning you go in unannounced into your manager's office, you hand them your resignation letter, they escort you out of the building, and then you start making the phone calls. And that's when you start calling all your clients and everything, let them know the change and everything in the afternoon, and then start working on getting those account transfers and everything established. And same thing, Wells Fargo to Merrill Lynch to independent BD. And so that's when you make the mad dash. And so.
Wow. Thanks for walking us through that.
Yeah, it cracks me up. You're still thinking about it and everything. And it's just, it's a funny process and everything, but it's what needs to happen.
Yeah, I've heard from several advisors that it's, kind of a mad dash to make those phone calls. And it sounds like that's like legitimately what it is.
It is. Yeah. You get out the building, you go to your office, you start calling. Because those advisors on the other side are, they're breaking up your book. And I remember at Merrill Lynch, this happened a couple of times where I was involved. They call it the draft. And so they said, hey, John Doe left. Here's a list. Pick a couple of clients and start making the calls.
Wow. So it's a race to reach them first.
Yes.
Interesting. So let's shift gears a little bit and give you some credit for the firm you've built. You are now servicing over 100 clients. Talk to us through how that growth happened over the past 2.5 years, because that is quite frankly rapid growth, and you've done it as a solo advisor. Talk to us about the first year and the second year and what went into kind of building that base of clients that you now sustain.
Yeah, so luckily, like I said, I had a good base, 50 households or so, and I've been growing about from 10 to 15 new households per year. And in the beginning, when I first became independent BD, I reached out to, a financial coach as well. His name is Dave Ramsey.
Yes.
Heard about him on the radio and everything like that, him and Susie Orman. And so I always liked his philosophy and everything. And so I became independent. Now I have the flexibility to become we're called smart investors. We endorse local providers for people who are looking help with the investment component of it. And so got picked to be a endorsed local provider. And that's really what helped in terms of growing my business, growing my practice. And so meeting a lot of the followers, listeners of Dave Ramsey, helping them when it comes to the investment steps they're working on. That's where a lot of my growth has come for the first couple of years. Now that I have a good base of business here, a good book, a good size of a book here and everything, I still get referrals from Dave. I'm still, Dave Ramsey Smart Investor, but a lot more is not referrals I get from existing clients is where I see my growth. It's funny, Yelp is a platform that I use that I get referrals from there as well. So that's really helped to grow my account and my book as well is those, the Dave Ramsey, the referrals, and also so I guess social media, the Yelp has grown my business from there.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to learn a little bit more about Dave Ramsey and the role that his program has played with you, because I've heard from some advisors that they've had no luck. And then I've heard other advisors like you say that it's very much a large component of the business. What is that like to be a smart investor with him and an endorsed local advisor?
Yeah, before anyone rolls their eyes at the Dave Ramsey, yes, I guarantee all my clients 12%, just like he says.
Sure.
No, I'm joking. And Scott Gill's going to be mad at me for saying that. But no, it's the program has changed when I first signed on to the program. So originally, when I first signed on, someone types in their information, I get their information, they get my contact information. It's just one off. I reach out to them and we'll see if we can connect and set up a time to meet from there. And then the program was changed almost when the Department of Labor, so the fiduciary rule was coming down. Regulators didn't like that because they felt like they was forcing that one prospect to one advisor. And so they did change the program now. So when they type in the information, they get 5 names on there, 5 different local advisors in the area. They can talk and meet with all 5. They can talk and meet with nobody. It's up to them. And so this change happened maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so for new advisors coming into the program, it's a little difficult because they are competing against 4 other advisors in the area versus when I originally started, it was just me. And so now there's a little bit of competition within Dave Ramsey SmartVestors in order to get a hold of that client and seeing if you can build a relationship from there. And so I have helped and talked to a number of XYPN members who reach out to me because they're, new to the program as well. And I'm more than happy to share what works, what doesn't work, what I'm experiencing, things like that, and the workflows, the templates that I have in place, what I use for technology, so that I can try and get in front of these Dave Ramsey listeners as quickly as possible. So.
And I don't know the answer to this. Does Dave Ramsey's program point all consumers to fee-only advisors?
No. So there are some brokers in the program, and so they do give them a wide range of different type of advisors, brokers in there. So no, not only they get pointed only to fee only advisors.
Do you think you being fee only and being able to kind of work with the smaller accounts is something that is a differentiator for you among the other Dave Ramsey advisors? I
do think so, because sometimes I see on there who are the other Dave Ramsey advisors on there. I can see they work for sometimes major firms as well. And so I know I know they have account minimums. And so, like I said, Merrill Lynch was 250. That was 6 years ago. And so imagine it's even higher. And so the program, and again, this is what I tell people in the program works. But if you have a niche, a focus, if you say, hey, I only work with physicians who make $250,000 and have $500,000 in assets, great. The program's not going to work for you.
Interesting.
Because I get about 30 contacts per month. So out of the 30, maybe 1 or 2 might fall into that little niche of yours. And are you going to be able to get a hold of that person before the other 4 or 5 people, get to a hold of them? It's difficult. And so with the program, you do get a range. I get some people that are, hey, I'm just looking to start saving for retirement. And I get people that say, hey, I got a $1 million 401k rollover. And so you do have to have some kind of service, product, model, whatever it is, to be able to help a wide range of people through the program. And so that's the most difficult part. So if you do have a niche, whatever that is, it's just the program might not work because out of all those names, 1 or 2, 3 might fall into that, and it might be difficult to get a hold of them, and the other advisors are also trying to contact them. So,
yeah, have you defined a niche for yourself?
It's really, I thought about it, and looking at my book, it is Dave Ramsey followers, Dave Ramsey listeners. So when I do meet with them and talk to them, the terminology, we talk about the baby steps, we talk about budgeting. And so it is a lot easier conversation. I do joke sometimes is when I do meet someone that's not quite familiar with the day program, trying to change my mentality, my presentation. Because I start saying things about baby steps and this, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, that's right. You don't know what I'm talking about the program." So my book is made of Dave Ramsey followers, and so that's really what I focus on, and that's what it's grown into.
Cool. So talk to us about your service model. Once someone becomes a client, what can they expect with you in terms of an ongoing relationship?
Yeah, so I do break up my book into ABC clients.
Okay.
And so it's driven by revenue. And so based on where they fall in that range and everything, it's how often I will contact them or connect with them. And so just to give you an example, as a C-level client is any client under $500 a year of revenue. I will be reaching out to them every 5 months, either through a phone call, an email, or a meeting, if it's time for a scheduled meeting. I do tell them, hey, if there's any question, concern, something keeping you up at night, call, email me, text me, shoot me a flare, we'll have a discussion. But we'll I'll be reaching out to you, checking in with you, talk a little about the accounts, performance-wise. But really, I tell them just to check in, see how things are going, see if you need to make any updates from that perspective. B-level clients is same thing, 4 months, and an A-level clients every 3 months. And that's when I'm reaching out. And so that's the service model in terms of reaching out and connecting with clients.
Now, you're talking about servicing over 100 clients. And I remember when XYPN only had 30 members and they all fit onto one spreadsheet.
Yeah.
As we grew, I had to scroll more and more and more. And there became kind of a threshold of where you just stop knowing everything about the clients.
Right.
And I think there's some rules of thumbs in terms of number of relationships you can maintain. How do you stay organized?
Yep. Leverage technology. So one of the great things about going in independent RIA is just there's all this technology that I never knew existed. Of course, even in the BDs, even independent BDs, we're just so limited on what we can do. Creating your own website, I'm like, I never even thought about that. Wells Fargo was, no, you're going to get a picture and we're going to type up what we're going to say. And so being able to create your own website and do what you want to do and say on there was amazing. So yeah, when I remember when I joined XYPN in May 2017, I think your conference back then was in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And so I went out there and I was excited. I was all by myself, didn't know anybody, just knew, I think you, and that was pretty much it, my contact. And so going through the technology conference, I almost felt like a kid in a toy store there. It was so exciting, all this technology. I was like, God, I want this, I want that. I want all of it. And one of the technology vendors I saw in there was an asset map. And so asset map was one thing that caught my eye, and looking more into it, it really helped my business and being organized and knowing a lot about my clients' financial situations. And so I never been do a full 30, 40 page financial plan kind of guy. Okay. And so my clients, and again, this is just my opinion, not against anybody. I know there's financial advisors that do all that and do a great business, but I always like, well, my clients are not going to read this whole 30-page financial plan. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to spend the hours putting all this together. And so with Asset Map, I call it, it's a one-page financial plan. It's a cliff notes of financial plan. And so with this one page, I'm able to know everything about my client's financial situation, from everything from insurance, income, debts, real estate, everything all in this one page, and be able to spot any kind of red flags that maybe on our next conversation or next meeting or something, let's have a discussion, see if we can make sure that everything's taken care of and everything's doing the right thing from that perspective. So with Asset Map, if I have a review meeting schedule, I can pull it up half an hour before the meeting call and say, okay, yep, I can see my notes on Wealthbox. We need to discuss this. We need to focus on this. Okay, we got the agenda set up. We're ready to go. And making sure that I'm organized from that perspective.
Asset Map was one of the competitors at the FinTech competition, or did you see them in the exhibit hall?
I think you're right. Yeah, and I did see them in the exhibit hall, and I still clearly remember walking by, and they had a show on there, and I was like, that is amazing. I was trying to put something together on Excel. I remember. Yeah. Trying to piece it all together because it wasn't, I didn't find anything out there. And then when I saw that on Asset Map and at the vendor conference there, I was like, this is exactly what I was looking for. So
interesting. Is that where you build a mind map almost of the client scenario?
So similar idea. Okay. Yeah. So it's like I said, it's a one page and everything financial related. It's on there. I add a couple notes here and there and everything, but it just helps me know a lot about my client's financial situation. And like I said, if there's any things that red flags or anything we need to discuss at the next meeting or conversation or so, and making sure we're taking care of it from there.
Interesting. You mentioned Wealthbox as your CRM. I'm wondering, in terms of the A, B, and C clients and the different touch points that you have with each client, how does Wealthbox, or how do you use your CRM to keep you on track with those meetings? Or if not, how do you stay on track?
So I do have a workflow established through Wealthbox. Okay. So that way, for example, I know in all my meetings, all reviews, meeting calls, videos, whatever they are, they're all scheduled on the first of the month. So I know I got to go on there and say, okay, who do I need to call? Who do I need to schedule a meeting with? Who do I need to schedule a call with? And who am I going to create a review video for? And so then what I do is through my Rev Chat, which is the text service now that we got introduced to and use, I have my template saved on there where for the review call, I send it out. It goes out. It has my link to Calendly. So then the client can just schedule the time that works best for that review call.
You send that over text message?
Yes. So I send it in text. No one's emails anymore.
I love that.
The text, I get a quicker response. People respond a lot quicker versus the email.
Wow.
And so I get a lot more things done via text than versus email. Sometimes even I forget to check my email because I'm focusing on my text and everything, getting that accomplished. But I send it through, and it's a quick template. It's got it all set up. So that takes care of my calls, my review meetings. Same thing, got a different template. More of a, hey, just give me a couple of days and times that work best through my rep chat, send that out to them. And then for my review videos, I use Screencastify. And so I just set myself a day. I can knock out a handful of videos where I'm just showing me going over their accounts, going over their asset map, and also just put a couple homework items or questions that they might have and send it out through a video, through email from that perspective. So I haven't figured a way how to send a video through text. I don't something there, but I still send the videos through emails for those clients.
That is really impressive. And so you said the first of the month. So this is really something on your calendar that the first day of the month, you are going through what clients you are going to have a relationship with this month.
Right, exactly. What clients need meetings, what clients needs a call, and what schedule call, and which clients I'm going to do the video for, and then just kind of break it up from there. And so with WealthBox, I have my task items that tells me it tells me which clients fall into video call meeting. And then from there, I reschedule the next touch, either 3 or 4 or 5 months down the road. And either will it be a call or meeting or phone call meeting or video from that perspective. So.
And what makes a client need a video versus a meeting? Is that subjective, or have you think about it and talk us through that?
No, so how it works is, let's say, for example, I have a meeting with a client this month. We got it done. It's all taken care of. And it doesn't matter about AB show company. We had a meeting. We're done. The next touch will be a video. Okay, so that's the way I see it. It's because I really had a face-to-face conversation. So nothing urgent came out in the time frame. So I'm going to send them out a video, say, hey, here's how they count, the blah, blah, blah. After the next touch after that will be a phone call. So that's what tells me the next touch will be a phone call where we have a conversation, go over the accounts in more details, like that. After that will be the video again, because I just talked to them the last time.
Wow.
And then the last one would be the meeting. So if you think about it, if I have a meeting with a client, in 3 months, I'm going to have a video. In 6 months, I'm going to talk to them. In 9 months, I have another video. And in a year, we should be meeting again. Same thing with a B. It's just different. It's just 4 months is the difference. And then with a C-level client, it is taking a little longer between the meetings. But again, I'm not looking to build a book of a C-level clients. And so being able to have a meeting with them, a conversation with them every year and a half or so, it works well. And that's what they're looking for.
Wow. And do you lay this all out to them when you first onboard the clients, kind of talk them through what to expect? Yeah.
I tell them what the process is and everything, how often I should be reaching out to them, how I'll be reaching out to them. But again, I always tell them, listen, if there's something that comes up between now and then, let me know. My calendar is on my website. Schedule a time. We'll have a conversation. Again, if something comes up, changes, and we need to have a meeting to have a discussion, then we'll have a meeting. And then that will change the time frame from that perspective. But if there's something urgent, we need to have a discussion, we'll set that up.
I hope our listeners are taking notes, because I'm taking notes. I've really been inspired, and I've learned a lot just through kind of your conversation about how you remain efficient and on schedule. Yeah. I'm wondering, does the Dave Ramsey program provide you any education on how to do this, or is it really just a lead funnel for you?
They did in the beginning. Some PDFs, some reports, and say what works better. They run the numbers in terms of what the success rate if you're dialed right away. And so before, when I first started the program, I get a contact. They said if you reach out to them in the first 5 minutes, you're gonna get hold of them, because they're in front of their computer. They typed it in their information. They requested for help. And so if you call them right there, and it's a joke, they're like, wow, I just typed in my information, you're calling me already. And so the percentage is a lot higher from that perspective. Same idea now with the 4 and 5. And then they say, hey, if you do call right away, and you're the first one to get a hold of them, there's a good chance that you'll have a meeting and have a conversation.
Mm.
I don't do that as much anymore because I feel like they're getting bombarded a little bit. Because again, 4 or 5 different advisors are calling, email at the same time. So I do send them an email through Get Response is what I use. So when they type in the information, then an email gets automatically sent out to them. And I joke in the email and say, hey, I know you're getting bombarded by calls right now. I'll call you in 2 days just to, once the dust settles, if you're going to have a discussion with me. But on the email, there's my schedules on there. And I do text them in my intro Dave Ramsey template as well. But in terms of a phone call, I usually wait a couple of days just for the dust to settle and for them to calm down a little bit.
Wow. It's so clear how much you've learned over these years and how to facilitate not just prospect relationships, but client relationships. I'm wondering, did your calendar and how you reach out to clients and even just the decision to text them versus not, was this all trial and error, or were you taught this somewhere?
No, trial and error. I call it the machine, I'm always tweaking with it and everything like that to be more efficient. Again, the idea is to be more efficient. Just being more and more efficient with my time but also too, not to let the clients know they're getting touched. They're hearing from me. I think with the sending the book, the technology, and everything like that, these clients are getting touched. They know I'm here, but they can reach me at any time. But the machine is in process. So if I do get a new client on board, I already know all the steps down the road, what's involved, our time frame for everything, getting things done, and everything. So that really helps.
I'm interested in how you charge your clients, and I'm interested because I suspect you'll probably have some nuggets of wisdom as well, and how to kind of think about how you charge for your clients. Is it all AUM? Any upfront? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, the majority of my income is AUM. Again, just growing up, in terms of the Wells Fargo, the Merrill Lynch kind of time frame, that's what it all was. I really didn't get into fee for service until like I said, XYPN and started learning more about what you guys, what to offer in that model. And so I'm on a tiered rate.
Okay. And
so from, not to go into all the numbers, but if you want, 0 to 25,000 is 2%. And 25 to 50 is 1.75. And then it goes all the way down to 750,000 is 1%.
Got it.
And I can tell listeners, oh my gosh, he's charging 2% on AUM. How can you get away with it? Calm down. If someone has $20,000, 2% is $400 for the year. Okay, so let's just pump the brakes there. It's not a huge amount there and everything like that. But also, too, the way I present it is, where's this $20,000 client going to get any help from a financial advisor? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Here, Momo has 2 decades of experience. They can't go to a Merrill Lynch, Wells Fargo. They're going to give them the online. They're go to online. Go take care of yourself. Is a financial planner going to charge them $2,500, $3,000 for a financial plan? They might not need that, And so I kind of fight right in the middle for those kind of clients and say, hey, I'm upfront with them. I say, listen, I am high on an account size this size. If you feel confident you can do it on your own, Vanguard, Fidelity, there's a lot of online tools. There's a lot of institutions out there. You can be up and running in 10, 15 minutes. They have a good list of different mutual fund options. Customer service is there ready for your phone call. They're low cost, and they're low cost because you do the work. You set up the account, you keep an eye on it, you do what you want to do. For my client, this is the last thing they want to do. This is it. They don't want to read a prospectus. They don't want to figure out an allocation. They don't want to do any of that. And so they come to me because they realize that, and so they want help in terms of figuring out an investment allocation, incorporating a little bit about financial planning through with the asset map and everything, and really just making sure they're on the right path.
Wonderful. And so do any of your clients contact you throughout the months for kind of complex issues that maybe you didn't think about, or do things come up pretty frequently for your clients?
Yeah. Especially now, right now is tax time. And getting a couple of questions on taxes. And that's what comes into now with Holistic Plan. I'm using that. Again, another vendor at the conference that I ran into, and I think they were at the FinTech as well. And I think they won. I think they did win. And so using that now to help clients from a tax planning perspective, and accountants, estate attorneys, insurance specialists. So I tell them, hey, if I'm not the expert in that field, we'll bring in an expert that can help us, making sure that we're doing the things the right way with the right philosophy and mentality and getting those accomplished.
Great.
So yeah, I do run across those complex situations. I just bring in experts that can help us out with that.
I love that. I hear a lot of members kind of get tied up on this complexity issue, and the flat fee is attractive in that regard, that you kind of just ignore the complexity and it all balances out. It sounds like you charge quarterly in arrears, typical AUM style. Any upfront fee whatsoever to look at everything and to make sure that they're a good client?
Yeah, so I've done a couple project-based, I call them, where if a client comes up or a prospect comes up and say, hey, I just want you to take a look at my 401k allocation. Just give me your 2 cents. And so I'll charge them kind of a project-based, a couple $100, do that analysis and stuff like that. Budgeting help, I get that. And so it's charged an hourly rate of $150. So what we do in that situation, we'll have a conversation meeting every hour, just to see every month to just see, hey, how are you doing on your budget? Things like that you should work on from that perspective. So I'm still kind of learning the fee only service there, collecting those kind of fees because I'm still AUM, but I am incorporating more of that. So one of the things I did change is, again, on the AUM route, someone opens a $10,000 IRA for whatever reasons, 2%, that's $200. I'm like, well, shoot, I'm working more than that.
Yeah.
And so now what I'm doing is for any households under 25,000, we do the project base where I send them an invoice every 6 months for $250. So I collect $500 for the year. At the end of it, once a household reaches 25,000, we'll go over to the AUM side of the equation, and really no big change fee save for the client. But it's more AUM driven versus the sending them an invoice every 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's one of the changes. Again, I'm meeting these prospects, meeting these clients and everything like that. And again, they're going to be good clients. They're going to be right fit. It's going to take time for them to grow the assets, but it's a way for me to be compensated a little bit and still help them out from that perspective. And again, I'm not looking to build a big book of C-level clients. I'm just here to help them out. To be honest, the C-level clients have helped grow my business a lot as well, because what happens is I see, hey, the young couple come in, I'm helping them out, and they're, you know what, my parents need help. And then that's when I get the introduction from, hey, I got a coworker that needs help. Using them to leverage my social media, my marketing, so they get the email from me that shows my Facebook, my Google reviews, my Yelp. That has helped grow my business from that perspective. And so these small accounts, they really help in terms of growing my business from that perspective.
Yeah. What part of your journey as an entrepreneur would you say has been the most challenging from you? You speak with such confidence, and I'm wondering what has been the most challenging for you?
Compliance. That's been the most challenging, just compliance. And I run a clean book. I tried to do the things was best, but last year I realized I was falling behind, even though all the soft smart RIA that you guys have and everything. It just, I don't enjoy compliance. I don't like compliance. I don't know who enjoys it besides Scott, but it's just I don't like it. And again, at the conference, that's where the compliance coaching was offered on there. And so I really got to stop going to the conference. I seem to buy something new every single time.
Well, I do remember a year, Cliff, that you walked away with like an iPad as an award, right? Didn't you win something? I think you won. You won some tech item.
It was an Echo Dot.
Who doesn't need an Echo Dot?
Yeah, that's right. I remember. That's right.
So back to smart RIA and compliance. I hear it a lot from advisors who have spent a lot of time in the broker-dealer world that compliance just is not something that they were ever trained to embrace.
They weren't trained. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. The OSJ took care of a lot of the stuff. You probably just sit with them once a year just to go over a couple of ththings, a mock audit from that perspective. But yeah, you weren't trained. You weren't supposed to take care of it. That's why they took care of it. And that's why they took 10, 20% of your commission for that. So that was a challenging part. Just trying to have the steps and process, almost a machine for compliance as well. Now with the compliance coaching, but even before that, the open hours, that was always
office
available.
Hours, yeah.
I was always on those. I am always on those calls and just listening in. Even if I don't have a question, I'll just listen in to see what other people's questions about, and if something piques my interest, I'll listen, take notes and stuff like that. So that's helped out. But the one-on-one coaching now, it's really helped in terms of just finding tune, making sure I have all the steps right, all the folders in the right place, everything's set up correctly.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. The compliance coaching that Cliff's talking about is a newer benefit. We rolled it out about 6 or 7 months ago with Scott Gill, who is originally our director of compliance. He's moved over to be a compliance consultant and working one-on-one with our members in this coaching capacity, we've really seen advisors like Cliff and others jump onto it. Just one, for the sanity of knowing that there's a time and space every month to do it, but also to know that you've got an expert looking over some things, especially as you get into kind of these triple digit client numbers like Cliff is. Cliff, what do you think is the future for your firm? I'm interested as you've kind of progressed through your career. As you look forward, is there another channel you're going to jump to at some point, or what are you going to do?
No, there's no way I can leave you, Maddie. Or Scott.
Thanks.
It's impossible. So
we would hate it.
Eventually, my vision for my practice is I never envisioned growing. Was it the enterprise practice? Being a manager or have other advisors or juniors under me. Really, what I'm focusing on is the lifestyle practice, where there's enough in revenue that I feel is comfortable for me and my family, that we can enjoy what we would like to do. I can poke my head in here in my office, take care of a couple things, couple phone calls, couple videos, okay, no fires, and then I'm bouncing, enjoying the rest of the day. If that takes me 3 hours, that takes me 8 hours, whatever that is. But that's really what I vision for my practice is just get to a certain revenue number that I feel comfortable with, growing my assets, and then taking on a client here and there, and really enjoying time with my family. And that's being an entrepreneur. Growing up, I have 2 little girls, 9 and 6. They're going on 19 and 16 here, and they know the world even more. But being able to spend time with them and enjoying the activities from school, outside of school, and everything, the flexibility. That's really what I enjoy, and that's what I vision for my practice: be able to sustain our family lifestyle and continue from there. So
yeah, I can't help but keep thinking about this. Keep it simple attitude. I've heard it through this interview the whole time, that you just haven't overcomplicated anything. And
that's really what it is. Just keep it simple, stupid. Just what is the simplest answer?
Right.
And that's for my clients. And again, my clients, they're not ultra complex. Husband and wife, they got 2 kids, they got a house, mortgage, they have a 401k, they have insurance here and there like that. And so it's just focusing on making sure they're on the right path, making sure we're all, doing the right things. That's really my clientele. I enjoy it. I relate well because I try to keep it simple in my life as well. And so it's that's the kind of practice I want. And again, I'm realizing I'm not going to have a book of 50 households. It might be more. It probably will be more. But I feel I have the steps using the technology, the templates and everything, that I can make sure that hopefully nothing falls through the cracks.
Yeah, great. Since you've been a practitioner in this space for such a long time and really through all the different channels, where do you think this industry is going, and what can we do to impact it?
What kicked us and Alan Moore with the lawsuit and just going to the industry is going for fee only kind of routes. Mm-hmm. The days of charging a commission, a transaction fee or anything, I don't think clients want that. They want planning. They need help. They need planning aspect. Now, again, do they need a 50-page financial plan? Probably not. But also, do they just need someone to help guide them and let them know, let them educate them on their options and let them know. And so I think that's the way the industry is going is more financial planning, however that looks, and paying for a fee, knowing what that fee is. I think that's going to be the big benefit. That's going to be the change. And XYPN, again, with Alan and kept us on the helm there, helping push that and everything. I think we're going in the right direction. So
that's great to hear. I want to just ask, what keeps you coming back every day? Why do you do this work, and why not any of the other professions that we've got out here? What about this and what you do every day keeps bringing you back?
I really enjoy, helping clients get in a better financial foundation, working through the process, educating them, and seeing them not stress out too much. There's been sometimes some meetings I have, I'm looking at the clients or our prospect situation. I say, hey, you know what? You're doing okay. I think there's a couple areas we can improve on. This is how I can help. But when we really dive down the numbers and see where everything's at, and they're like, hey, you're doing fine. You're okay. The enjoyment that I say, hey, you can do what you want to do in retirement and enjoy what you want to do. And then there are some people like me that are like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be difficult. They come to me and they say, hey, I just retired yesterday, but I got my 50K rollover, 401k. What can I do? And I'm like, can you get your job back maybe and see what we can do from there? So, but I enjoy working with my clients and working on their plan and seeing, quarter after quarter, year after year, we're improving and getting them on the right path. That's what I enjoy.
Oh, Cliff. Well, this has been quite inspiring for me, and I'm sure for our listeners. Thank you so much for the role that you've played through all of the channels in servicing your clients authentically and loyally. And thank you for being a great XYPN member and friend. I so appreciate this interview.
No, it's been great. I've been happy with XYPN since I joined, getting to helping in terms of growing my business, with working with you guys and everything like that. It's been an enjoyment. And so I actually do look forward to all the conferences and everything. Mm-hmm. It's a great time. Might miss a Denver one. It's just because my oldest one is turning 10. I throw in some tidbits and say, hey, how would you feel Daddy just missed that birthday? You'll be okay. And the tears start coming. I'm like,
Oh, you can't miss a big 10.
I can't miss it. I know. And I want to go to Denver. It sounds like great and everything. And I don't know. We'll see what I can do. I'm still, maybe I'll bring her along as my assistant or something like that and go from there.
Yeah. Or maybe your birthday will change by then. Who knows?
Exactly.
All right, Cliff. Thank you so much. Listeners, have a wonderful and safe day.
XY Planning Network's annual benchmarking survey is out. Are you curious about the average number of clients XYPN members get in their first year, or how successful niches really are? To answer these burning questions and more, we've again enlisted a professional research firm to complete our annual benchmarking study. Get your copy hot off the press and discover vital statistics such as the median advisor revenue by years in practice and sources of firm growth, from referrals to blogging, social media, and more. Head over to xyplanningnetwork.com/study to purchase your copy today.
Be sure to join our VIP community at xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP to hang out with other XYPN radio listeners, ask questions for future mailbag episodes with Alan and Kitsis, and finally, to find a community of like-minded financial advisors. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll see you next time.
You're not alone, and you're not crazy. It's scary starting, building, and growing your own financial planning firm. And that's why we put together a free private community just for you, the Cutting Edge Financial Planner. Go to xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP or text XYPN Radio to 33344 and join a network of thousands ready to change the lives of Gen X and Gen Y clients.